Hello and welcome back to MarketBeat's financial news and analysis. Today we are covering one of the most talked about stocks on the market today. This e-commerce giant has revolutionized the way we shop and even the way we live. Yep, you guessed it, it's Amazon. Amazon's story is one that is definitely worth following, so let's get into it. We have Chris Markoch, one of my favorite MarketBeat contributors, back with us today. Chris, don't let that get to your head, okay?
No pressure, Lacey.
All right. How are you doing today, Chris?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited to chat about Amazon. I'm going to see if this conversation inspires me to add anything to my cart when we're done here. All right, Chris, a lot of investors have been saying the party is over for Amazon stock and it just isn't the go-to for them anymore. Couldn't be me, but do you agree?
No, I don't. Amazon, let's keep it simple here. Amazon is best known for their two huge business units. One is the e-commerce and one is their cloud computing sector. And when you look at the two parts of the economy that were growing like gangbusters at the beginning of the pandemic, it was e-commerce because everybody was getting packages delivered at home, and cloud computing because businesses had to invest in the cloud as more workers were moving to remote locations. So it's no surprise that Amazon revenue grew year over year, earnings grew year over year, and that growth was sharp. And so it's not a surprise that the stock price went up over 100%. It was like 108% between March of 20 and July of 2021.
Okay, I see where you're going with those because both of those segments have weakened in 2022. Chris, when will we see improvement though?
Well, as far as the when, I'm hoping that we'll see it towards the second half of this year, but that's something that I'll let the economists battle out. But you're right. E-commerce slowed in the back half of 2021 and certainly last year. And we saw businesses cut back on cloud computing expenses. We saw consumers who were still spending their discretionary dollars, investing it in experiences rather than stuff. That's what I meant to say. And Amazon is a technology stock. So the whole tech sector had a bad year. So it was Amazon kind of got lumped in with all the other tech stocks. So having said that, Amazon's revenue is still growing, but at a much slower pace. Earnings are down. So there's not like no reason for investors to sell the stock, but it seems like to me the sell-off might be getting overdone because none of these problems that Amazon faces seem like an existential threat to their business.
All right, I can totally understand the whole buying experiences versus buying stuff aspect. What do you mean by existential threat? Can you be a little bit more specific for some of the people that might not know what you're referring to?
Sure. You and I talked about Apple a few weeks ago, and I said at the time, demand delayed is not the same thing as consumers choosing one product over another. You talked with Thomas Hughes a little while ago about Coke versus Pepsi. That's a great example of consumers who choose one brand over another brand. And for many of them, they won't change that. They'll if a restaurant serves Coke products and they don't like Coke products, they'll just order something else. And same with Pepsi. Amazon doesn't seem to have that problem. Now, I may not be the best person to ask because I'm not a huge Prime user.
Chris, no. Did I just hear you right? You're not a Prime user?
Well, I'm not going to say I'm not a Prime user, but if you asked me like what my password was, I probably couldn't tell you.
They have password keepers for that. I cannot relate. I order from Prime multiple times a week. I might be embarrassed to admit how many packages end up on my doorstep any given day. But I'm sorry for interrupting you. It just threw me off a little bit. That might have to be another video down the road, but please continue.
Yeah, you sound like my children. My point, though, is even though maybe I'm not that heavy of a Prime user, I see Amazon trucks driving around where I live all day, every day. So it tells me that people are still buying from Amazon. Now, are they buying the same amount? Maybe, maybe not. Are they buying, are they buying smaller items? Are they limiting it to just the staple items that they need? Probably. But it also tells me that those consumers are not likely to not use Amazon when the economy recovers. And I would say the same thing is true of the cloud computing. I have some friends who work in information technology, and they tell me that once a business gets in with Amazon Web Services, it becomes very sticky, and they're just not likely to just change and jump and move to another service. So it would seem to me that that business spending will come back, and Amazon will benefit from that.
So is it just becoming a simple case of bad timing then, or what's going on?
More or less. Amazon did spend $1 billion to get the Thursday Night Football package from the NFL. And the fact that they didn't sort of piggyback onto that with the NFL Sunday Ticket, it's a bit of a miss, because that's a huge expense that they have to work through their balance sheet, especially this year when things are down a little bit. But, again, they're doing things that companies do to protect shareholder value. We don't like to hear it necessarily, but they're letting go of 18,000 workers. They are instituting a $10 billion share buyback program. Those are things that companies do to preserve shareholder value and to say our stock is worth buying.
So bottom line here, Chris, I know our viewers want to know this. Is Amazon a buy?
I believe that if you're an investor who is buying into this market right now, then Amazon is a buy. And the reason why I say that is because prior to this recent rally, which the stock's up about 12% in the last week, Amazon was trading at a level that it wasn't at since before the pandemic. I mean, that seemed to me to be a little bit oversold. Now, I'm not somebody who generally likes to make price predictions, but again, that seems a little bit oversold to me. How much should you invest in Amazon right now? Maybe you don't want to go all in, but now would certainly be a time to start accumulating shares at a price that you might not be seeing in 2 to 3 years, and you'll be looking back and saying, you wish you had bought shares when they were that cheap. I know the analysts that are tracked by MarketBeat on the site, they're showing Amazon with a potential price target of around $145. Now, those consensus targets are usually for about 12 to 18 months out. That seems a little bit ambitious to me. Again, I'm not somebody that likes to make price predictions, but I think 125 is probably more realistic for what investors could expect in that time frame.
All right, Chris, let's wrap this up. Thank you for joining me to share your insights on Amazon. It was great to have you back. We appreciate you taking the time to be here. To our viewers, if you enjoyed this video and you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll never miss an update from us. I went ahead and linked some of the articles from Chris on Amazon in the description below, so be sure to check those out. And as a reminder, MarketBeat's goal is to empower investors like you to make informed decisions on their investments. And that's why we're offering our viewers a 30-day free trial to MarketBeat All Access. That's zero cost to you. All you have to do is click the link in the description below to get started and learn more. All right, one last thing. I don't know, Chris, I think we might need to battle it out in the comments below. If you've made it to the end of this video, thank you for sticking with us. Let us know in the comments, what are your thoughts on Amazon's story? Start your comment with Lacey if you're an avid Amazon shopper like I am, or start your comment with Chris if you lean more on his side. All right, that's all I have for today. Thanks again, Chris.
Thank you, Lacey.